The Imitation of Christ. Those of you with a Catholic background probably more familiar with this than Protestants are. Published anonymously in 1418, but the author and editor has since been identified as Thomas à Kempis. He's been called by the Catholic Encyclopedia perhaps the most widely read spiritual book in the world, which I think is a true statement among Roman Catholics who make up 1 billion Christians. I don't know, well, you're all Protestants now. How many of you have read The Imitation of Christ? Got 2? Was that in seminary or didn't? No. Okay, that was in seminary. Karen, did you read it?
No.
You never read it? It's a forerunner of modern devotional books. You know, the Upper Room, and there's other devotionals where you read a certain amount every day or every week. Well, it's the devotional, but it's kind of the granddaddy of the book. Much of the work is in the form of a dialogue between the disciple and the voice of Christ. And as we have talked about numerous times in this class, that is a fairly typical literary format that's used in a lot of these types of books. The Shepherd Hermas uses it, where the angel is leading Hermas through this set of visions, and there's a dialogue between them explaining things. It's even used a little bit. You see signs of it in the book of Revelation when John's conversing with an angel and whatnot. And the central question is, how can we live lives more Christ-like? So if the central question of Pilgrim's Progress was, how do you get to heaven? If the central question of mere Christianity and evidence that demands a verdict was, how do you defend Christianity? Well, the central message of this is, how can we live lives more Christ-like? And it makes perfect sense from the title, right? The Imitation of Christ. And our goal should be to try to imitate Christ when we can. Now, here's a good theological question. Can we ever attain the perfection of Christ in our lives on this earth?
Never, only with His help.
But we can strive toward it with His help. Here's a couple excerpts. He who follows me walks not in darkness, says the Lord. By these words of Christ, we're advised to imitate His life and habits if we wish to be truly enlightened and free from all blindness of heart. Let our chief effort, therefore, be to study the life of Jesus Christ. The teaching of Christ is more excellent than all the advice of the saints, and he who has the Spirit will find in it a hidden mind. Now there are many who hear the gospel often but care little for it because they have not the Spirit of Christ. Yet whoever wishes to understand fully the words of Christ must try to pattern his whole life on that of Christ. We were talking a moment ago about why might you not put your name on it. Well, the Roman Catholic Church puts the Bible and the writing of the early church fathers and church decrees all on the same level. And well, what does he say here? The teaching of Christ is more excellent than all the advice of the saints. Well, you possibly could get in trouble for that. He didn't, but it's one of those kind of borderline things.
What are you saying? Is the red letters are more important than the rest?
In modern printing terminology. The book is divided into 4 parts: thoughts helpful in the life of the soul, the interior life, internal consolation, and an invitation to Holy Communion. Particularly the inner 2 actually fit fairly well in our modern kind of confession environment where you go on Dr. Phil and confess all the terrible things you've done, and everybody cries with you, and you say you'll be better, and then you leave with your money, and you go back to doing whatever it is you were doing, but it kind of goes along with it. An example of the devotional nature of the book can be found in the internal consolation section. And the language is kind of, at least to me, familiar from the kind of works we see today. Whatever I can desire or imagine for my own comfort, I look for not here, but hereafter. For if I alone should have all the world's comforts and could enjoy all its delights, it is certain that they could not long endure. Therefore, my soul, you cannot enjoy full consolation or perfect delight except in God, the consoler of the poor and the helper of the humble. Wait a little, my soul, Wait for the divine promise, and you will have an abundance of all good things in heaven. If you desire these present things too much, you will lose those which are everlasting and heavenly. Use temporal things, but desire eternal things. I like that one. You cannot be satisfied with any temporal goods because you were not created to enjoy them. So I think that's kind of similar to modern devotion.